Welkom terug by die Groot Ontbyt. Ons gaan nou 'n onderwerp gesels wat meeste mans maar eintlik wil ignoreer, maar dis die verkeerdste ding om te doen. September is Prostaatkanker-bewustheidsmaand. Ja manne, julle moet luister, né? Dis nou julle beurt. En hier is Andrew Oberholzer vanmôre by ons in die ateljee om te gesels. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having us.
It's lovely. You have been here before, so you're an old face.
That's
We know
correct,
you.
yes.
We know you. Andrew, let's talk about Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Why are men so notoriously terrible when it comes to looking after ourselves and taking care of ourselves medically and health-wise?
I think men just tend to wait until things break before they get help, rather than being proactive like women are, going for those important annual checkups, not just for prostate cancer, but for cardiovascular diseases. So we need to kind of try and change men's mindsets to get them to understand that if we can screen for things like prostate cancer, screen for heart disease, we can prevent a whole lot of big problems later on down the line.
You're right, because we're fixers. We want to fix stuff.
Exactly.
We don't want to think, and ons wil nie top oor goed nie. If it's wrong, we'll fix it. But if it's not, just let it be. And that's a wrong attitude to take. You have to keep checking up.
That's especially important with prostate cancer because there's generally no symptoms in the early stages, and it's only in those early stages that we can actually cure prostate cancer. So that's why screening is really so important. And we recommend that when men start getting to their 40s, that's the time to start thinking about screening for prostate cancer. If you have a family history, that increases your risk. So then we recommend those men screen from 40, and all black guys because they have about a 60% higher risk for prostate cancer.
Really?
And also 5 times more likely to die from prostate cancer. So we recommend for all those guys, start thinking about screening from the age of 40, for all other men from the age of 45. But we don't want you to wait until you have symptoms, because that generally means that this prostate cancer has already started spreading.
How many men in South Africa get diagnosed with cancer or prostate cancer, and what is the mortality rate?
So we estimate about 1 in 4 for black guys, and about 1 in 8 white guys will be diagnosed with prostate cancer.
1 in 8 white guys, goodness.
Yeah, so there's less of a risk for white guys. In terms of the mortality rates, much higher for black guys again, because they're generally coming in when this prostate cancer has already spread. We call that metastatic prostate cancer. And at that stage, if we look at what we call a 5-year survival rate, only about 30% of those guys, if they come in with late-stage cancer, will be alive after 5 years.
No,
Whereas if we catch it
really?
it's scary. It's a scary stat, and really an incentive for men to go for screening. If we catch it early and treat it, about 98% of those guys after 5 years will actually be alive. So really the importance of early detection, we just can't emphasize, as with most cancers, how important that is. So that's really our main message.
I think if you mention now the 1 in 8 in white men, for example, and you say early detection, 98% of people do go past the 5-year thing. I mean, it must be such a motivation for men out there to actually just go get screened.
It is. I would hope so. But I think one of the fears men have is the finger. You know, the digital rectal examination.
I said that now without thinking.
So
Yes.
I think let's just put those fears to rest. Nowadays, we tend to just use the blood test. Having both is ideal, but the blood test is generally sufficient. That's called a prostate-specific antigen, or PSA blood test. A full blood test, not just the finger prick, is what we prefer, and that will pick up most problems. It's not a cancer-specific test. It just tells us something's wrong in the prostate. If it is high, you will need a bit more investigation, and that generally means a trip to the urologist. That's our men's health doctor, if you like. The equivalent of a woman's gynae. Although they do urinary symptoms of both sexes, obviously. And then they will investigate further if there's a problem. So don't be scared of the finger. Go for the blood test, and
It's less invasive. It's just a blood test. So as jy bang is vir 'n naald, dis omtrent al verskoning wat jy kan hê, maar kom aan, sak dit op, kap kyk, vat daai naald, dis makliker en vinniger en beter. Ja.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that will help increase the number of men going for screening. But a lot of men are just not aware of prostate cancer, which is a major challenge. A recent study in the Free State where men who had been diagnosed, only 22% of them had ever even heard of prostate cancer. So, we tend to, in rural areas, there's just not a lot of awareness out there. So one of our big challenges is just to get men talking about the cancers that affect them. And prostate cancer is the most common cancer that affects men. So we really have quite a challenge on our hands.
Andrew, earlier we spoke about awareness campaigns, about how to create more awareness. You gave me and Jennifer these stickers, Suit Up September. What is that?
So we just ask people on any day in September to wear a suit. It's unusual to wear a suit, particularly in corporates today.
You've got a lovely suit, so you're in it.
I'm in it. So buy your little stickers. They're 50 Rand. You can get them on our website. We'll send them to you. And men and women, because women play an important role in encouraging men to go for their tests, because they tend to be quite diligent. So when they book their pap smears or their mammogram, remind that man of yours to book his PSA test as well. So it's great because everyone can participate in Suit Up September. So we put our suits on in September. Then in October, we're going to take our suits off and all the men put the purple Speedo on for the Daredevil run. Because that's
in October, there's the Daredevil run.
That's
So the Hollard thing, they're sponsoring this awareness campaign also for prostate cancer.
Yes, and it's testicular as well. So we get the schoolboys involved, which is good because now we're instilling that mindset of you must look after your health, you must check yourself, you must go for your screenings from a young age because testicular cancer is the most common cancer that affects young men. And then, of course, we hope that generation grows up to be a little bit more aware and proactive about their health. So,
and that's going to be extraordinary because a lot of oaks in purple Speedos running in town for 5 kilometers during the day in business hours is I won't say it's something to see, but it's quite an event.
It's a lot of fun, and you can do it anywhere in the country. It's virtual as well now, or you can go to the Zulac and do it on the field. There's 2,500 other guys in Speedo, so you're not going to feel embarrassed. In fact, if you have your clothes on, you'll probably feel like the odd one out. So.
Behalwe as jy die enigste ou in Merwe wil is wat met jou per Speedo in die straat af hardloop. Mense gaan dan vra.
Yeah, so great to have men's health awareness events taking place because that helps just instill that health-conscious mindset in men, which is so important. You know, by 2030, prostate cancer will be the most common cancer in South Africa. So we really need to take this seriously. Men need to be aware of it, and we need to get guys going for the screening if we're going to get on top of this disease.
And also, you mentioned the awareness factor, and earlier you spoke about in the Free State, you know, the amount of people that still didn't know about it. And I think I was quite shocked by that, that you still get people who aren't even aware that you get something like prostate cancer or that it can be a problem. And I think, you know, we probably don't speak enough about all sorts of cancers. It's almost as if we're a little bit embarrassed to start speaking about cancers and certain types of cancers and going for tests.
Yeah, and I think prostate cancer is quite personal because it's one of a man's internal sex organs, and the treatments can often cause sexual side effects, things like incontinence, which are embarrassing for men to talk about. So we've got a great support group, but it's an email support group. So guys are not having to see each other face to face because these things that they talk about in terms of the challenges of dealing with side effects of treatments can also be quite embarrassing for men. So there are ways around that, but we really just encourage guys to talk. You know, we have such good treatment options nowadays if we catch prostate cancer early. If it's caught and it's a very low-risk type of cancer, we often recommend just monitoring it. We call that active surveillance, where we don't even subject a man to active treatments and he's not going to have those side effects. We can monitor it carefully. If it becomes a problem, we can then treat. And then we have really excellent surgical options. We now have robotic surgery to remove the prostate, which means the surgeons can more accurately ensure that they do less damage to the nerves, so the guys have much better erectile function and less incontinence after surgery. And then we've got the radiotherapy treatment options, things like brachytherapy. So there are options for men. It's important that they just understand the advantages and disadvantages of each treatment option and make an informed decision.
During the ad break, 3 of us in the studio stood here and we realized that all 3 of us have family members that have prostate cancer. I mean, it's something that we realize now is so frequent and is so everyday, widespread. Why? Why is there such a high occurrence of prostate cancer in men in South Africa?
So we're not quite sure why black guys are much more susceptible. There's a lot of research going into finding the answers, and a lot of it is genetics. There's a genetic predisposition in black guys, and unfortunately, our black South African guys get a more aggressive tumor type than black American men even.
Really?
So we're now trying to find out, is that the case throughout the rest of Africa as well? And there's a lot of research being done by Prof. Rihanna Bornman and Vanessa Hayes from Australia, and international research happening. But I think genetics is also playing an increasingly important role in prostate cancer. We all know the Angeline, Jolene, BRCA 1 and 2 genes. We're now also finding that it's important to start doing genetic testing in men because there are new treatment options available, that if those genetic mutations exist in men, and also important for those men to then make sure if they have sons, that they understand they're more at risk, and for them to make sure that they go for screening. So there are a lot of exciting new developments. We are improving all the time in terms of picking up the prostate cancer earlier and making sure that we have as many treatments available as possible.
And we still don't know why men get such a high frequency of prostate cancer.
That's one of the challenges. We don't know what the cause of prostate cancer is. So, there's some dietary things, but there's not strong enough evidence. We just know that as men get older, they're more at risk. As I said, black guys are more at risk, and then that important genetic factor. So, as you've said, it's important to know, do you have family members who have prostate or breast cancer? So, if your mother has had breast cancer or sister has had breast cancer, you are also more at risk for prostate cancer. So, that genetic, understanding the genetics in your family and the family history of diseases is something that's quite important.
And make sure you go for that screening once a year, that blood test, as easy as that, especially from 40, or if you've got a family history, more often.
Exactly.
Andrew, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'm worried even more.
Thanks very much, and we'll see you in your Speedo, or you could just suit up.
Tomorrow, I'm suiting up. Tomorrow morning, I'll be wearing my sticker.
Thanks very much for the opportunity.
Lekker. Oh. Nee man, nou bekommer ek myself nou dood oor die prostaatkankerbesigheid. Maar dis 'n goeie ding. Manne, dis 'n goeie ding om bekommerd te wees oor jou gesondheid. Jy mag bekommerd wees oor wie jy is en wat jou gesondheid is. Asseblief, vat verantwoordelikheid. Nou ja, Prostaatkanker-bewustheidsmaand is hierdie maand. En dan in November gaan ons almal snorre groei. Maar Oktober gaan ons in speedos hardloop. Man, ons 'n partytjie.